The one thing I wish I had known when I was younger, the single piece of information with the power to change everything, is this. You are in complete control of your own life. This isn't a cliché, it's the fundamental truth that shifts everything. When you take full accountability for yourself, your life transforms. Period. Some may think this idea is obvious, but I'd challenge you to take a look around, scroll through social media, watch the news, or simply observe the world today. What do you see? You see a culture of chronic blame. People point fingers everywhere but in the mirror, convinced that their problems are someone else's fault. The government, an institution, or society at large. We've reached a point where people actually seek out victimhood because it's the new currency of attention. It's far easier to be the victim than the hero. Being the hero requires sacrifice, hard work, and the courage to look inward. It means accepting that if something is wrong, you have the power and the responsibility to fix it. This mentality of blame is pure self-sabotage. It robs you of your power and chains you to your circumstances. So, if I could go back in time, I would take my younger self by the hand and say, listen closely to what I'm about to tell you. We can't always control where we start. Let's be real. Life isn't fair and we aren't all dealt the same hand. But as I once heard Will Smith say so powerfully, what you do right now is what matters. That is the control we all have. It's not your fault where you begin, but it's your responsibility to choose where you end up. You can spend your energy shaking your fist at the sky, or you can start building a life that truly matters to you. It's easy to blame the world and play the victim, but a fulfilling life is built on meaning and purpose. It's about fighting for something valuable and evolving into the person you always knew you could be. No one has ever found happiness by bitterly standing still and blaming the world. I would tell my younger self to worry less about how you're perceived and focus more on who you are and what you're capable of. That's the one thing you can always control. Don't get distracted. Stop losing yourself in the daily news cycle or whatever. The popular narrative is, that has nothing to do with your personal progress or your next step forward. Be informed, but do more and consume less. By and large, the endless consumption of news is just a distraction. Your power is your own. The government isn't here to give you satisfaction. Its job is to protect your right to live life on your own terms. True satisfaction comes from good habits, self-belief, taking risks, failing and learning. It comes from the courage to step into the unknown. It will never come from a politician. So stop worrying about political optics and focus on where your 2 feet are taking you right now. That is your strength. Expecting someone else to change your life is like screaming into an abyss, a void that will never give you what you want. The power is already within you. It's time to use it. I would tell my younger self, when you start looking around at what everyone else has, it's great that their success can motivate you. But dwelling on it will never improve your life. Remember this. Life is a race between you and you. It's a fight between your best self and those nagging thoughts of self-doubt. When you defeat that internal demon, you'll find yourself exactly where you want to be, no matter where others are on their journey. You are right where you need to be. Keep your head up and keep moving forward. Embrace the hard work to become something more. You have to be willing to sacrifice. This can feel so substantial, so big, that it keeps most people stuck exactly where they are. To grow, you must be willing to play the fool, to be humbled, and to completely change your relationship with short-term failure. It's not easy, but taking control of your life isn't supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be worth it. I can look back at my own life and remember the times I was so busy pointing fingers at others that I forgot to look at myself. I was so consumed by the unfairness of it all that I became paralyzed, not realizing that I could have been moving forward. I could have been tapping into the single greatest power I possess: control over my own life. Every time you feel anger or the need to blame others, you're taking the spotlight off what truly matters and shining it on things that are detrimental to your journey and your future. The path to a better life is not in blaming the world, it's in building yourself. Even when the most unfair things happen, when you're passed over for a promotion you deserved, or mistreated by someone, or things simply don't go your way, Refusing to blame others and immediately taking responsibility gives you one of life's greatest advantages: control. This shift in perspective allows you to assess the situation and ask yourself, what can I do to change this? You can find the lessons, discover the value, and come back stronger. To blame others is to live life in the passenger seat. It might be easier and require less work, but you have no control over where the car goes. But when you own it, when you say, "This is my life, my responsibility now, the good and the bad," you put yourself in a position to take the wheel and reroute to a destination of your own choosing. This would be my message to the world. Life isn't perfect, but the best thing you can ever do for yourself is say, "This is mine to own." Don't sit back and shake your fist at life. Get up, walk out the door, and create it. That's where you'll find what you're truly looking for. Don't let the past define you. There's a powerful saying, just because you spent a long time making a mistake doesn't mean you have to keep making it. There is an incredible advantage in life for those who can separate the past from the future, who can recognize a sunk cost and walk away. Here's the challenge. Our instinct is to preserve what we've invested. We think, "I've spent so many years on this," or "Look how far I've come even if I don't like it." But the reality is that time is gone. That money is not coming back. You are not indebted to the resources you've already spent. The past isn't the focal point. The goal is simpler. What matters now? You've grown, evolved, and changed. Your targets have shifted, and so should you. The ability to walk away from a past that no longer serves you is not a sign of failure. It's a monumental act of courage. It's the ultimate expression of control. You don't need to be a slave to your past decisions. Instead, chalk them up as an integral step in your learning process, a crucial aspect of your growth, and move on to what truly matters. We often let irrelevant factors affect our choices because we feel a sense of debt to yesterday. But life is too short to run in place. If something isn't pushing you forward, drop it. If it's not what you need, forget it. Don't be one of those people who wakes up and makes the same mistake every single day just because you've spent a long time making it. Remember, your reality exists in your head, and that's the most beautiful thing about it. You have the power to unlock the cell door and walk out. Embrace the new beginning. Never lose sight of the greatest gift you have, the new beginning that lives in every single moment. This is your chance to take a turn you've never taken, to remove the mask and play a role you've never played. Let that sense of excitement pull you toward new things. Let go of what you can't change and pursue what you can. Forget the time spent. Think about now. Where can you invest your energy now? Your current surroundings didn't magically appear. You chose them, and you can just as easily take the wheel and leave. The formula is simple. What is best for you, and how do you get there? Don't be where you feel obligated, expected, or pressured to be. Focus on where you need to be. Everything else is just noise, a rope keeping your ship on shore. You're not confined to that harbor or yesterday's destination. You were built to chase the horizon, follow your curiosity into the sunset, and sculpt your life with tomorrow's possibilities, not yesterday's story. As human beings, we don't just see the world, we interpret it. We don't take in what happens, we take in the implication of what happens. Everything in our world is a story we tell ourselves. Think about two different news channels reporting on the same event. They both have their own narratives, interpreting the gray space to fit their beliefs. Our individual lives are no different. We are our own broadcasting channels, using the data of our lives to support a story we've already decided to tell. Here's the value in this idea. When you find yourself in a state of consistent despair, frustration, or anxiety, it's a mistake to look for solutions in the outside world. Why? Because everything you find will only support your existing story. This is why money can't bring fulfillment, why a new partner can't make you whole, and why status will never lead to happiness. These acquisitions are like putting premium fuel in a car with a broken engine. They aren't the answer you're looking for. Change your story, change your life. To change your world, you must change your story. The neural network behind your eyes is what needs to be transformed, not the external details it takes in. If you feel stuck or believe your goals are unrealistic, You have to understand that the very way you think is the root of the problem. So, ask yourself, not your boss, your partner, or your neighbor, what a real turnaround looks like. Do you even know? Or have you simply gotten used to being unhappy? Has your personal broadcasting channel become so hell-bent on a negative outlook that it's no longer paying attention to the positive data available? I believe wholeheartedly that the first step in any transformation is to remember that you have control. The things in your life that hold you back can be changed. In fact, the very things working against you can start working for you, but only if you become aware of them. I'm not a believer in magic. You can't just snap your fingers and be happy forever. But I do believe that once we are aware of our self-imposed limitations, we can start chipping away at them. Do 1, 2, or 3 small things every day, tiny swings at the tree until it falls. If you're unhappy with your work life, what would a better situation look like? What bridges that gap? Maybe it's waking up 20 minutes earlier on weekdays. To master a skill you've been putting off. The choice is yours. The control is yours. Maybe it's sending one LinkedIn message to an expert in the field you want to enter. Maybe it's reading 20 pages a day of a business book. Do you think those things are small? See what they look like, compounded over a year, and this is the most important part. You are taking your power back. You're taking control, and that is what feels good. That's where we get our identity. If you're disappointed with your physique when you look in the mirror, stop being sad about it every day. Instead, ask yourself what the inverse looks like and start taking small steps. Subtract 1 sports drink and add a green smoothie. Double your water intake. Do a 10-minute daily workout on YouTube. The pieces are all there. To find yourself again is to realize that you're playing a movie on loop in your head that isn't right. It's not you. So, what movie do you want to be playing in an ideal world? Scroll through the library, find it, click play, and start doing the small things that make it real. Progress is power. There's so much power in progress. I've seen this unfold in my own life, especially as a writer and a speaker. You identify who you want to be, start taking tiny steps, and after a while, you're surrounded by the change you created. How can you not believe in something you're starting to live? It becomes your identity because it is you. It's around you, you breathe it. Look around and realize the malleability of your situation. And if what you find is not you, that's a good thing. This is your opportunity to tear down the old and construct the new. You can do this because you have control, it's within your grasp. So start the new movie, the new story. Make yourself the hero and set out to find yourself again. A message to my younger self. Dear younger me, there is so much you don't know, so much you think you understand, but couldn't possibly grasp. The most important things in life, the moments you'll cherish forever, are the ones that seem like footnotes now, background noise hidden in plain sight. Listen to me, because time moves fast, and we only get one chance to do this dance. Be thankful for the present. When you wake up, be grateful for the shoes on your feet, the roof over your head, and the life you lead. If you spend all your time focused on what you don't have, happiness becomes a mirage that's always out of reach. Never be scared to challenge what is. The world you see today wasn't destined to be. It was built by people no smarter than you who had the courage to create it. Never be afraid to challenge the status quo. The world will be better because of it. Embrace discomfort. It will always be easier to play it safe, to stay comfortable, but that's not where you'll find the good stuff. If you don't take chances, you'll spend your time wondering what could have been. Believe in your greatness. This world can be a tough place, and if you don't believe in yourself, no one will do it for you. No one will hand you the sky. You have to earn excellence every day. It's there, I promise. Don't get distracted. Don't lose sight of who you are and what matters most to you. The small stuff that so easily consumes our energy and emotions will wash away. Trust the journey. You didn't have all the answers, but you were exactly what I needed you to be. You created a map. You showed me that change only happens when you face life's imperfections. Risks are only taken after you've felt regret. Confidence is only acquired after you've been willing to be a student. And most importantly, if you don't allow yourself to get lost, you will never discover who you truly are. 20 years from now, when we meet again, I know you'll have given me everything I needed, nothing more and nothing less. Because time moves fast and we only get one chance to do this right. I promise you, younger me, that it won't be wasted. What motivates you on your down days? Not when you have momentum and everything is going your way, but when you've taken a loss, when you're angry with your progress and you can't even remember why you started. What acts as your rope to pull yourself back up? After all, a bad day is nothing more than the thoughts in your head. You're walking down the street, and a thought comes to mind that lifts you up, fills you with excitement. Nothing in your world changed, but your mindset did. That moment holds a profound lesson for anyone pursuing a long-term goal. I was recently talking to a friend who is an incredibly talented musician. We discussed our similarities as creators and the truth that no matter how hard you work, you never know how your next song, video, or piece of art will be received. That can be tough, but this same uncertainty can be the spark that keeps you moving. Yes, you're uncertain, but you're also just one creation away from changing your life. We are all just one decision, one action away from altering our current trajectory. When I'm going through a difficult time, that is what I latch onto. The excitement contained in the infinite possibility ahead. Tomorrow is a new story. Maybe you haven't seen progress for a while, but that says nothing about tomorrow. Your life can change faster than you can blink, but you have to be consciously aware of that truth. We all know how easy it is to look at our losses and think they are a sign of our potential, but they aren't. Your struggles and setbacks are the seeds of growth. I wish every person who has accomplished anything significant had their risks, failures, and moments of self-doubt documented for the world to see. It would be a powerful reminder that avoiding pain and loss is not the formula for success. It is the path itself. It's about knowing that pain and loss are part of the process and continuing through them. Failure isn't personal. It's the water that makes the plant grow. The secret to the game is tricking yourself, positioning yourself to feel momentum and progress. You do this by creating visible benchmarks, setting up appointments, starting projects or scheduling events, even when they are tiny. When you feel like you're progressing, you feel empowered, and when you're empowered, you win. Remember this: the only way to lose in life is to stop. That's it. Stop growing. Stop progressing. Stop failing. Stop taking risks. The magic of moving forward that might sound simple, but it's not. Anyone in pursuit of something greater knows it's not. When you've written 200 songs and none of them have hit, when you've spent money you don't have on a film that gets bad reviews, or when a new company doesn't meet expectations, the act of moving forward feels impossible. But that is the magic. I had a coach who used to say, "Success is often simply hanging on when others are letting go." Yes, you want to be great, and you should. But greatness comes with time, skill, hours, and commitment. Moving forward takes no skill, no talent, just self-belief. That is a win you can pocket right now. What I tell myself during those rough stretches is simple. Any future step could be the one that changes my life. As long as I keep moving forward, I am one creation, away from everything changing. And so are you. When you're digging deep and you feel like all the work isn't paying off, remind yourself that momentum, the wind at your back, is one step away. Every time you fall short, it's just one more step. Because one of those steps will be it. One of them will open the door you've been pounding on. And it won't be because you did the impossible. It will be because you convinced yourself to move forward when your doubt and insecurity begged you to stop. You knew that one of those at-bats would be the one to change it all, and you didn't stop until it did. Embrace your uniqueness. If you're lucky enough to be different, don't let go of it. I spend a lot of my time exploring the power of perspective, how our reality is determined by how we interpret what's in front of us. One person can look at something and see pain, a problem, or a barrier, while another can look at that exact same thing and see an opportunity, a future win, or a bridge to something better. I believe one of the best examples of this is how we perceive those qualities that make us unique, the very things that put us in a different category. We can be hesitant to fully embrace our unique qualities because they're not common. But when it comes to what separates us, we have a crucial decision to make. Robert Frost's poem about the fork in the road is a powerful metaphor for this choice. He chose the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. This is more than a nice-sounding phrase. It means he didn't bury what made him different, he made it his battle cry. He chose to face the pain of being a beginner, the struggle of uncertainty, and the discipline of turning a passion into excellence. He traded peace of mind for the pursuit of meaning. Exploring what makes you unique takes courage. It means your mind will scream at you with reminders that you're alone. You're not just fighting traffic patterns, you're fighting your own DNA. The impulse to sit down, shut up and blend in. This isn't a trivial decision. It might be the most important one you'll ever make. Your commonality with others won't bring you fulfillment. It won't leave a mark on your life or the world. That will only come from the things that are unequivocally you, the slightly strange, out there qualities that pull you with an undeniable gravitational force. The tug-of-war of purpose on one side of the rope is the voice that begs you to relax, conform and do less. It tells you to avoid criticism and take the easy road. On the other side is the voice that asks, what if? What if you sacrificed comfort for the unknown? What if you took what you love and ran with it? What if you worked for a delayed payday? What if when people ask what your plan is, you have to say, I'm not quite sure yet, but I'll keep pivoting until it's so clear you can see it from the moon. Every time I've lost my way, it's because I've doubted my unique path. I've become impatient with my journey and looked at someone else's wins, wanting a piece of their success. But just as a tiny leak can sink a boat, a little bit of doubt is enough to derail your process, the one you have to believe in, protect, and nurture. I've come to see this process in two parts. First, you must believe that exploring what makes you unique is valuable. Your abilities are not stupid, trivial, or unnecessary. If something means something to you, it will certainly mean something to others. When you bring that unique talent to life, it not only helps you evolve and flourish, it helps the world. You just have to believe in it enough to bring it to life. Second, you must trust that as long as you don't stop, you can't lose. This doesn't mean continuing to ram a square peg into a round hole. It means growing, learning, experimenting, and seeing what works. When you hit a dead end, it doesn't mean the dream should be abandoned. It means the plan needs to be adjusted. As you get better, learn from your mistakes, and continually adjust your strategy, success becomes a matter of time. You increase. The odds with every step forward, from dream to reality being different, is the most precious thing you have. To realize that miracle requires a combination of both the mythical and the practical, the imaginary and the real. Dream that dream. Visualize that growth. Create a world out of ideas that don't exist yet, but also understand that converting that dream into reality is a practical process. It requires repetition, learning, losing, and adjusting. It's much easier to blend in than to spend years pushing through the agony of setting yourself apart. But it is worth it. We celebrate the outcasts, the crazy ones. We listen to stories about people who had every reason to doubt themselves, but kept moving forward. They could have swept their unique abilities under the rug, but instead they used them as their foundation for everything. They didn't seek to be anyone but themselves, knowing that who they are is enough, that it is the seed of something precious. The only question is, will you provide the right conditions and nourishment for that little seed to grow? Will you do what so few people have the courage to do? Will you let your authentic self shine through and emerge? As Ralph Waldo Emerson said, to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. Ralph Waldo Emerson also said, my life should be unique. It should be an alms, a battle, a conquest, a medicine. This is the core of the matter. Perpetual happiness is a fool's errand. Life is full of trials and tribulations, but fulfillment comes from that quest for meaning, for building something, for creating your unique self. This process must be chiseled from stone. It's never given to you. It has to be found and taken. The question is, what will you make of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity? What will you make of the possibilities that only you know, that only you can bring to life? Never doubt yourself or the gifts that set you apart. You don't need everyone else to believe in them. You just need to convince yourself. Everything else will fall into place. Don't wait, just go. Sometimes, when you don't know where you're going, the best thing to do is go there. An object at rest stays at rest. When you move, even without a clear destination, you put yourself on a collision course with something. You create an entity to react to. Some call it destiny or fate. I call it initiative. Because if your journey is only hypothetical, you have nothing to celebrate or correct. A sailboat can adjust its sails once it leaves the harbor. It can learn from its surroundings and adapt. But from the harbor, it only speculates on a path that might be straighter or faster. In reality, it goes nowhere. I'd argue that the real world is where we want our results. My proof is my own journey. I started in insurance, then evolved into music, audio production, video production, and eventually creative writing, a sweet spot that combined everything. This destination didn't just appear in my inbox. It required a lot of failure, lessons learned, and disappointment, but it also brought so much fun. My proof is sitting here now in real time, letting my fingers create a bridge from nothing to something of value. I just started after staring at a blank screen for hours. Could I be wrong? Could I screw up? Yes, and it happens more than I'd like to admit. But here's the beauty. Even if I am wrong, I now have something to work with. Something has been brought into existence. And that means I'm officially further along than I once was. I've heard it said over and over that there's no perfect moment, that you just have to go. The idea makes sense, but it doesn't truly resonate until you feel it. How can you miss something you've never experienced? To put it in a way that helped me, you don't go because you have nothing to lose. You go because everything is to be gained. The answers you pick up along the way are like coins in a video game. You have to start collecting the pieces of a puzzle. You can later arrange. I truly believe one of the most important ideas we need to hold on to is personal agency, self-belief. I feel like I'm watching it slip away. Too many of us don't know or understand that we have the power to change our own lives. No person, group, or letter in the mail is going to greenlight your idea. In fact, you might not even know what your idea means or what it will look like. And that's not just okay, it's amazing. It's a block of marble that you get to chisel away at to create something. Progress is the path. Life isn't the perfect execution of a plan. It's the courage to make your way into a world no one truly understands. There is no perfect formula for happiness, but it will always be true that standing still is the opposite of progress. And there is plenty of data to support the idea that progress equals happiness. We want to move towards something. This is what it's all about. Here's to not being scared of what we don't know, because somewhere in the realm of the unknown exists what we need most. So, stop waiting for the perfect moment. And yes, begin. But not because it's an ultimatum. Begin because it's your only way forward. Do it because the things that make life fun, intriguing, and exciting, and ultimately worthwhile, live on the other side of your front door. In our moments of greatest distress, we must find it within ourselves to see what is most difficult to see. When things seem hopeless, tragic, or when we feel lost, we tend to forget a universal truth. Behind every struggle, no matter how big, there is a win, an answer, and an opportunity for a fresh start. It's easy to forget that a storm will pass. The dark clouds block out the light, making us forget the warmth of the sun. The wind and rain force us inside, making us forget the simple perfection of breathing in cool air. But all storms have one thing in common. They are temporary, and what they leave behind is hope, answers, and the clearest, brightest of skies. I'm not asking you to see something that's not there. I'm reminding you of what you already know exists behind those clouds. Better days, your solution, your victory. I'm asking you to look at your own history. Every day leading up to now has had its adversity, and every day you have figured it out. You found a way. How many times do you have to prove to yourself that you have what it takes, that you'll be okay, that within the depths of your soul are the answers to any and every problem you face? Your resilience is your strength. I know things aren't easy. Maybe they seem bigger, scarier, and more overwhelming than ever before. But as adversity grows, so does your resilience. I'm not giving you a new answer. All I'm doing is reminding you how incredible you are, how much you have already overcome, and how capable you are of conquering whatever is next. Sometimes the difference between being okay and being great, or between stagnation and growth, is only a change in perspective. It's how you look at the world and your place within it. It's that little voice in your head reminding you that you are capable of things far beyond your current comprehension. Your perceived best is only a fraction of what you're truly capable of. Reality is always manageable. The only monster that can defeat you is fear, and that's a monster you created yourself. Let's commit to being the ones who find calm when others panic, see opportunity where others see hardship, and focus on what can be gained instead of what has been lost. I love to simplify things to find clarity. So here's a simple formula. You, negative thoughts, infinite possibility. You are capable of handling anything life throws at you. You have the potential, the resources, and the ability to overcome. The only thing that can make a situation permanent is you deciding it is. Therefore, the obstacle will never be life itself. It will be your thoughts about life. Your thoughts determine how you react. That is your reality. Is a lost job a tragedy, or is it an opportunity to begin again? A chance to grow or to fall in love with something you've always wanted to do? Is lost time a source of loneliness, or is it a chance to write the first chapter of your book, lay the first brick of what will become your empire? Your journey is your victory. I've been sad and happy, broke and with money, alone and loved. But through it all, every trial, every tribulation, I've come out stronger. I've become battle-hardened and aware that happiness is a choice. Money can be reacquired. Some people will leave, but the ones who truly matter stay a part of you forever. Life is a gift. It's a gift when things are hard, and it's a gift when they are easy. It is always a gift. So don't let your losses define you. If you get back up, it is nothing short of a victory. Armor you now wear as you make your way into the world. The world can push you down, but it can't keep you there. Not if you don't let it. Your mind, your body, and your soul are made of the same elements that surround you, the same stars that comprise the universe. They have equipped you to weather any storm and outlast any earthly dilemma. You can get through anything and be anyone. Never forget that. Never forget who you are. The little E on the car dashboard reminds me I'm pointed east. As I sit at the red light staring at the water, I realize this is it. This is as far as I can go. There are no more streets, towns, or cities. Just miles and miles of ocean. It's interesting to think about all the changes I've made up to this moment. Growing up outside of Los Angeles, I've moved again and again. Sometimes the moves were methodical and targeted. Other times they were just for the sake of change. But I was always moving, always going. There's a saying that wherever you go, you take yourself with you. You can change your circumstances and surroundings, but you can never outrun yourself. You are with you on every journey. It's often not until you run out of road, when there are no more options, that you are forced to look in the mirror and acknowledge that it is you who must change. It is you who must evolve and become the person you need yourself to be. This can be a scary thing. Anyone can get in a car and drive east away from their demons, but how many of us can find the strength to look those demons in the eye? How many of us can make ourselves bigger than what attempts to weigh us down? All of us can. But how many of us do? Are we running to something or from something? The difference is not small. The value of becoming one of my favorite speakers, Jim Rohn, once said that in our push to make more of ourselves, it's not what you get at the other end, it's who you become along the way. Like everyone, I've forgotten this truth from time to time. I've forgotten that true value is not simply in going, but in becoming. It's in the courageous little steps that accumulate over time. The external world can inspire and excite you. Change can invigorate your soul, and an untraveled road can remind you of life's beauty. But these external things are only as valuable as you allow them to be. They are only opportunities if you choose to see them that way. Change can be inspiring, but will you let it inspire you to do the one thing you know you need to do, but are terrified of doing? A new road might remind you of life's beauty, but will you let that reminder be your invitation to share your own beauty with the world? Can you be that vulnerable? Can you take that leap in the story of your becoming? It's incredibly easy to look out at the world and pinpoint its flaws. But can you identify what you yourself need? Can you be courageous enough to ask yourself these questions? What matters to me? What does a meaningful life look like to me? Where am I falling short? This is a conversation that needs to be had, and it needs to be had often. Otherwise, we will drive and drive and drive until we hit water and are forced to ask these questions. It's interesting that when we don't pause to make the changes that need to be made, life has a way of forcing us to. But when it's life mandated, it tends to be a lot messier and more chaotic than when we make the decision ourselves. Either way, we cannot run forever. Eventually, we must step into a new pair of shoes and learn to walk confidently into the night. There are plenty of mantras out there, and it's best to weigh them individually to see what fits your needs. But one of my favorites is to do one single thing that scares you every day. Here's why. When we become conditioned to turning our backs on the uncomfortable things in life, we stunt our prospects for a better tomorrow. It's like a seed refusing the very water it needs most to grow. This is so dangerous because saying no to what you need is incredibly subtle. It's not a big event or an explosion. There's no fireworks show when you walk away from what you need. It goes unnoticed. One of the greatest challenges in life is quantifying the things we don't do. How do you measure something you walked away from? The power of acknowledgement. You can't measure it, at least not until you're staring out at an ocean with nowhere left to run. You don't know until you're forced to pick up the pieces and make something of them. I say this to ignite the spark you need most, whether you've recognized it or not. I say this to remind you how much bigger you are than your problems. When you transform yourself, you have the ability to transform everything that exists around you. There's a certain inevitability to how we see ourselves. You can look in the mirror and only see the past, your mistakes and your inadequacies, but it takes courage to look in that same mirror and see strength. To understand your shortcomings but know you have the power to do something about them. The times you fell didn't mean the effort was wasted. They were ingrained with the beauty and courage of your pursuit. Imagine a life where you no longer run from your shortcomings, but actively work to close them. Imagine starting your own hero's journey, where you used to run to protect yourself. You now take the offensive to grow yourself. Where you used to avoid the possibility of failure, you now chase the possibility of victory. You can have that if you want to. You can become that if you choose to. You may never outrun yourself, but you can always adapt and evolve into the person you always needed to be. Your journey is your victory. Sometimes we just need a reminder that we are strong enough and we do have what it takes. The things that hurt us most in the short term not only save us from pain in the long term, but they also become what we live for, where we find our meaning. Perhaps the ocean before me is not there to remind me of my constraints, but to remind me of how often we measure our lives with the wrong metrics. It's not about where I end up, but about who I become along the way. When your inner self steps into the shoes it was once too intimidated to wear, and the world within becomes the beacon you need it to be, the external roads and stops matter less than the eyes that process them. So yes, the little E on the car dashboard says I'm pointed east, but as I sit here at this red light, staring out at the water, I know this is only the beginning. You weren't put here to live in the shadows of life, to exist beyond the sun's grasp, to stay on the outside looking in. It's crucial to remember the difference between now and forever, the distinction between today and tomorrow, because from time to time, they look deceptively similar, especially when we find ourselves in the darkest of times. Despite our best efforts, our world can be reduced to a void of hope. When tomorrow and today merge into one endless entity, it's easy to forget that this moment is just a bridge to something great. As Viktor Frankl said, if there is meaning in life at all, then there must be meaning in suffering. We all suffer, we all hurt. We all go through periods where we can't see, hear, or feel anything beyond the darkness, but it is there. Darkness cannot be defined without light. The one thing that can bring darkness to its knees is all around. It, everywhere. If there was ever a reason to be hopeful, to believe, it's this: a new life is always a light switch away. Darkness is as temporary as the day. The antidote requires only that you believe it to be true and find the resolve to step forward. Remind yourself of the sun's warmth and the infinite beauty of a world beyond this temporary darkness. You weren't put here to live in the shadows. You were put here to re-emerge like a rocket through the Earth's stratosphere, to swing from star to star like life is a playground and you make the rules. Finding light in the darkness. When we look back, we'll be grateful for those times of darkness. They prepared us for the road ahead by giving us what we need most: perspective, life lessons, and a roadmap to follow. You don't appreciate the light, the sun, or the clear blue skies until, even for a moment, they're taken away. You don't learn about life's abundance until you've come face to face with scarcity. You don't learn to give until you've had your world taken away. You don't learn to love until you've experienced heartbreak. You don't learn courage until you've been overcome by fear. You don't learn to grow until you've been truly stuck. And you don't learn to believe until you've looked in the mirror and doubt peers back. You don't truly know who you are until you learn what you're not. Everyone finds themselves having wandered into the dark at some point, whether by choice or by fate. But like leaves changing color in the fall, or a wave emerging and falling back into the ocean, it's not an end, it's a beginning. It's life's way of preparing us for what's to come, introducing us to the infinite possibility of tomorrow. You weren't put here to live in the shadows of life. You were put here to emerge from them, to light up the world. Your probability is your power. We have a desire to define the undefinable. When it comes to life's most coveted outcomes, we use probability to solidify things that are entirely fluid. You'll hear about the odds of becoming a professional athlete or a CEO, numbers that paint a picture of why you can't succeed. They suggest that you're more likely to fall into the millions bucket than the one bucket, as if success is a random number generator, a lottery where you have zero control. This way of looking at life is flawed because it overshadows the most important element of success: your control. The 1 in a million wasn't born that way. They simply did things differently. They didn't relinquish control. They took it. That's the difference. The lottery is sitting back and hoping your numbers are pulled. In real life, you create your own probability every single day. Every minute you work toward a goal, you get closer. Why would you take a snapshot of the present moment and use it to define the likelihood of living out your dream someday? It tells you nothing. It's the steps along the way that make your vision a reality. Using the same metaphor, every step, every decision to push forward, every time you dig deep and find a little advantage, you're replacing one of those green marbles with a red one. Maybe you can't see the progress, but it's there. In fact, numbers should never scare you. They're an indicator that the vast majority of people aren't prepared to go all the way. By simply not stopping, by believing that you can, and by giving more than the person next to you, you have a tremendous advantage. When you hear that only a small number of people make it or get accepted, your thought process shouldn't be, "Oh no." It should be perfect. This is my opportunity. Of course, the number of elite people in any field is small. Think of the sacrifice and the costs that must be paid to get there. The only odds that matter are the odds that you will continue forward. And you should know that they are 100%. When you trust yourself to find a way, you have a huge advantage. The world around you focuses on why things can't happen. They see what can go wrong and complain that it's not easy. Remaining fixated on why you can succeed means you most likely will. Words like difficult or demanding have nothing to do with you crossing the finish line if you are 100% convinced you're going to do just that. They just mean there will be plenty of opportunities to quit and turn around, a temptation that must be ignored. They mean you will be tested, that you will have to ask yourself if it's truly worth it. And if the answer is yes, then the numbers, the probability, and the odds are not your adversary. They are your allies. The quiet believer life is built by quiet believers. They are the ones who see what is not and transform all that is. They poke holes in the accepted truth and embrace the absurd. They are the ones who dream while awake and cherish every moment. For the quiet believer, it's not about talking. Words are just noise. It's footsteps that inspire. It is the journey that tells the story. Quiet believers understand the subtle line that separates truth and perception. They get that dancing to your own beat means you'll sometimes dance alone. As Nietzsche points out, they may even be thought to be crazy by those who can't hear the music. In this life, no one comes up, places a hand on your shoulder and declares that your future is great. That doesn't happen until you create it. So have patience, quiet believer. The abstract is just as real as the hand in front of your face. It just requires a little more road to travel. The sun is as real at night as it is when it rises. Things are simply not always what they seem. The impossible and the unimaginable are stories that need to be transcribed from your mind to the world. And quiet believers, they quietly scream with a megaphone so loud the world can't help but listen. You are the architect. Quiet believers are the wizards who flew around in a young author's head before she courageously shared the magic. They are the feeling of a game-winning shot, making its way through the basket in a North Carolina driveway. They are the entrepreneur who started a bookstore in his garage, seeing not books but accessibility and a better way. The truth about life is that some people create it and some merely react to it. And you hold the pen. So, dream away, quiet believer, because you have a world to construct, mountains to climb, and stories to tell. Today is yours. The challenges will propel you. The naysayers will inspire you. The stars will guide you, shining bright as a reminder that you are made of the very elements lighting your path. You are an architect. Don't talk or explain or promise. Simply show, lead, and earn respect from yourself. Because looking back, if you found the courage to change even one thing, every second will have been worth the fight. If I could give the world one message before stepping onto a rocket ship, it would be this: life is not as serious as we make it out to be. Some may find this message too simple, but let me explain. Waking up every day is not an obligation or a requirement. It's not a test or a make-or-break audition to impress others. It's a gift, a challenge, and an adventure to be explored. With the odds of being alive at 1 in 400 trillion, you have already done the miraculous. You have won the lottery. So why not cash in? Why not live and push boundaries? To live scared, play it safe, or do nothing with your life is like winning the lottery and leaving the cash under your bed forever because you're afraid of losing it. This defeats the entire purpose. This mentality has changed my life. If I lose, who cares? If people laugh, who cares? If I have to swallow my pride and be broke for a few years, who cares? If I'm the one who doesn't know what the immediate future looks like, fine. I'll take the upside, the fun, the hard work, and the adventure. I'll never forget a night 6 years ago when I had just left my job. I was at a bar, and a girl asked me what I did for a living. I told her I had just left my job with a really cool idea for a YouTube channel. I'll never forget how fast that conversation ended. She walked away in a blink. It was perfect. I knew I would remember that moment forever, because it was a symbol that the fear of the immediate is what stops us from the best things down the road. Leaving my job was the best thing I've ever done. If life were only about not screwing up, I would still be in that cubicle getting yelled at for using too much color in my presentations. But that's not what life is. Life is about opportunity, not about hiding so you don't lose, but about making something where you are with what you have. There is so much out there. There is a win on the other side of every door you walk through. Even when it's hard to see, we have to remember that even in the midst of a crisis, there is always a win. Shakespeare wrote King Lear while in quarantine during the plague. Use the time, find solutions. If you've always wanted to start a business, take a small step. Create the business page on Facebook. Do something small to get the ball rolling. When life is a game, you're always finding ways to win. Entrepreneurs talk about their hardships because they know that losses don't define them. In life, just like in a game, you win and you lose. But through repetition, you get better, and your wins become more substantial and consistent. Most decisions are reversible. Even in the worst-case scenario, if you take a leap and things implode, you can backpedal and adjust. But you know what's irreversible? Inaction. You can't improve on steps you've never taken, and you can't be propelled by dreams that remain in your head. Living scared is looking in the mirror and hoping nothing goes wrong today. Living fully is looking in the mirror and saying, I'm going to make something significant today. I'm going to take risks, find solutions, and propel myself forward. So, as I make my way onto this rocket ship, that would be my message. Stop playing to avoid losing and start playing to win. Life is not a standardized test. It's a blank page waiting for a story. And stories are written by the bold, the risk-takers, the ones who stop wishing and go out and make things happen. Wrong actions can be corrected. But a life lived through a lens of scarcity is a sealed fate. How about living like this is the only life you have? Like each day is a metaphorical currency that you can't take to your grave. It must be spent, cherished, and used fully. So here's to not only dreaming, but finding the courage to dive headfirst into a journey so great that no stone is left unturned, and no day is without the magic of your own creation. If life is serious at all, it's a serious opportunity to live, fully, and nothing less. Greatness is found in the dark. Everyone wants to be great, to be the best, to be in the top 1%. But as the saying goes, everyone wants to be a beast until it's time to do what beasts do. What life has revealed is that our most vital decisions present themselves in the dark of night and in the chaos of battle. They show up in the midst of our discomfort. We know these moments, the ones that try to stop us in our tracks. They are what we must prepare for. They are the gateway to excellence. Consistently doing the simple, easy things is important. It's the foundation upon which we build, but it is far from everything. To be great, you must also embrace the difficult things, the temporary storms that push us to be more, that hurt and that test us. They are the armor we come to wear, preparing us to endure the trials and tribulations of life like a muscle that must be developed. But the difficult things are still only part of the equation. Lastly, we have our defining moments. These are the moments that put it all together. When the sky feels like it's falling, the body feels like it's failing, and the mind feels like it's dwindling. These moments present a single question. Will you do the hard thing when you feel like you can't? It's doing what's difficult when the situation is screaming that you've gone too far. Running is hard, but running when you're tired, your lungs are screaming, and you have a packed schedule. That's not hard. That's transformative. Going to the gym is hard, but going when you don't even want to step into the car, when your mind is trying to rationalize a day off, and you're questioning the point, that's not hard. That's transformative. Growing your business is hard, but growing it after a monumental letdown when you've been left empty-handed, yet you show up with your eyes locked on the win, that's not hard. That is transformative. These monumental moments are not about easy versus hard. They're about doing the hard thing when it seems as though you cannot. The world, your body, and that voice in your head are all saying no. Can you separate yourself from that hurt and disappointment? Can you segment the negativity, knowing that life's curveballs can't stop you from moving forward for the simple reason that you won't let them? Embrace the hard. When life gets hard, you have to get harder. You have to become bolder and learn to surprise yourself. This is the pinnacle, the goal I aspire to dig deep and find the emotional intelligence to know that a difficult moment is the invitation I've been longing for, my chance to level up. I know this from my own experience. With one of life's inevitable setbacks, I had to look in the mirror and say, I'm not going to dwell on the technical issues that just cost me thousands of dollars and hours of my time. Instead, I decided to learn from it, put new systems in place, and find the opportunity in the failure. When we build back, we tend to build back stronger. We get a clean slate, a new lease on life. We can pinpoint and capitalize on the value we once walked right past. When we adopt this mentality, we become unstoppable. Someone on the outside might say it's over the top, and it is, but so are the things I want. They might say it's not. That's simple, and they're right. Running away from problems is simple, but I'm not about that life. They might say it's impossible to think this way all the time. Maybe, but if we retreat every time life isn't perfect, we'll never attempt anything. I'm not aiming for perfection. I'm aiming for progress. Those who aim for perfection tend to spend their lives doing just that, aiming, planning, and speculating, but never doing. Wanting more for yourself means receiving more rejection from the world. It means deeper treks through the vast unknown and across turbulent waters. It means doing the hard thing when the circumstances seem impossible to mere mortals. At some point, we must redefine the adversity we face in life. We must be the ones who find something where others see nothing, to find value in the seemingly valueless. Let us start with the belief that there is always a solution, And if there is always a solution, there is always a way to bring it to existence. Some will stop it easy. Fine, let them. Some will stop it hard. Great, to each their own. But if you dare to push further into the night, you will be tasked with doing the hard thing when circumstances are devastating. You will be asked not just to sail the ship, but to sail it through the storm, not just to build the tower, but to build as the sky opens up, the wind blows, and the ground shakes. That is the difference. So what will you do when the time arises? Who will you choose to become? It's time, it's time. The world will not stop spinning, the clock won't stop ticking. Days won't stop slipping by, it's time. Things won't suddenly get easier. The difficulty will not remove itself. The path will not narrow. It's time. That perfect moment doesn't exist. A flawless beginning is fiction. The stars will never align for you. It's time, not tomorrow, not someday down the road, but this very second. Your only job, your only requirement is to begin. It's time to trade fear for opportunity. Someday for right now. It's time to stop thinking small and stop looking at success as a stranger. It's time to convince yourself that what you want can be accomplished. When it's as real as the space in front of you, as probable as the completion of a single step, it will happen because it has to. At some point you have to see that you're not simply playing it safe. You're not being a perfectionist. You're not just okay with where you are. Let's be honest, these ideas and excuses are all a derivative of fear. The problem with possibility is that it's incredibly hard to quantify. Technically, if you've never had it, you've never lost it. And that's how we rationalize staying where we are. That's why we compartmentalize the things we want most as just dreams. But for a second, let's be bigger. Let's start from the premise that what life can provide is truly infinite. When you sit on an idea or refuse to begin, you are in fact losing every single thing. At one point, everything that exists in the world began. At one point, someone summoned the courage to reach out and take what was in front of them. Maybe you take that step. Maybe the first few times go terribly wrong. Maybe it's terrifying and you find out who your real friends are. Maybe those truths scare you. But guess what those steps turn into? Confidence, amplified purpose, and, most importantly, more steps. You get to see your demons diminish and evaporate right in front of you. The higher you climb, the better the view. The longer the road, the greater the experience. I would rather fall 1,000 times and get back up stronger than be someone who looks at the world through a window like it's some fairy tale. At the end of the day, those who stayed safe have no scratches, no bruises, no scrapes, but I have no limits. And I would make that trade any day. It is time to stop separating what you want from what you have and take that step forward. It's time to go get it. No one is stopping you, nothing is stopping you, and in fact, if you choose to be, you are unstoppable. So take a look in the mirror, lace up your shoes, open the door, and begin. It's time. Redefine your reality. There's a saying that some people feel the rain while others just get wet. I've always found this idea interesting. The same situation can be interpreted so differently, planting the seeds for dramatically different outcomes. As the authors of The Courage to be Disliked point out, water is always 60 degrees, but it feels different in the summer than it does in the winter. The water didn't change, its circumstances did. Our thoughts are no different. It's not the world that writes the story, we do. And every second, moment, and day is merely an interpretation. Does time tick by, or is it driven into a state of flow? Was losing a sign that you're not good enough, or is it the motivation to be better than you've ever been? Is your day an allegiance to the present, or an invitation to chase down tomorrow? The world doesn't get to tell your tale. The world is paper and ink. It's everything you need to decide how your story will go. The question is, how do you define reality? You don't need to change the world. You need to change the way you see it. And you don't need to change who you are. You need to change the imaginary shackles you have placed around yourself that are limiting the heights you could reach. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, the world is an accumulation of thoughts and ideas, 8 billion individual movie screens attempting to coexist. When you look at it that way, your mindset doesn't just play a role, it narrates the entire play. It is the glue that ties everything together. What you see is what you get. This isn't a one-and-done thing. It's an everyday practice because life will always challenge us. There will always be a temptation to turn an opportunity into a problem and a hero into a villain. But why forfeit that control? I've heard that if you find time to be grateful both in the morning and at night, it changes your life. Not because the world magically transforms, but because it reinforces the perspective you need. We are lucky to be here. We are lucky to have challenges that push us forward and ups and downs that bring us closer to the people in our lives. We're lucky that chaos and discomfort open a door for transformation. I get that life isn't perfect, and not everything can be great all the time. But I do believe that if we can bring ourselves to stop, breathe, and focus, we can find value in any situation. What's in front of you exists. You can't go back in time or remake the obstacle at your feet, but you can always decide how to make it work for you. And that's a superpower. I use this superpower when my ideas underperform, when people let me down, or when I feel overwhelmed. The question I ask is, where is the win in this situation? In a moment where most people would hang their heads, I find a way to hold mine high and maintain my own accountability. A shift in perspective. Extreme differences in life outcomes are often prompted by subtle realizations and decisions. Their reason to stop could be your reason not only to carry on, but to thrive. The best news is that you don't need approval or authorization. You don't need the stars to align or doors to open. You just need to give yourself permission to see the sun amidst the clouds and the hope amidst the doubt. You have to remind yourself that there is always something to cling to, always a second chance. There is always a win. All you have to do is choose to see it. Sometimes success is merely hanging on when others would let go. It's not about doing anything spectacular or out of the ordinary. It's not about leaping a mile or jumping over a mountain. Sometimes success is just a matter of carrying on. Thomas Edison's famous quote has always stuck with me. Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. It's a powerful idea. Success is about seeing what others can't, believing when others don't, and having the courage to make your visions real. This process is constantly evolving. Some days we feel the progress and momentum. Other times the progress feels small or invisible. And then there are moments when we get knocked down and feel like we've lost or failed. But we forget that this is all part of the process. Progress is a journey, and it moves only when you move. It stops when you stop. Just keep going. As the Dalai Lama once said, the only way to fail is to quit, period. No one ever stops because they can't. They stop because they decide to. They stop because they see a huge mountain and forget it's only made of small rocks. They get so disheartened by the distance of the finish line that they forget it only takes a collection of small steps to get there. You don't have to leap the entire way. This is me speaking from experience. I've poured my heart into things no one cared about and invested in opportunities that fell apart. Each time it felt like the end of the world. I've been lost, unsure, and felt like a loser. But there's one thing I never stopped doing, continuing on. Whether life lifted me up or beat me down, my plan for tomorrow was always the same. Get up and try again. Just keep going. When I sat down this morning, I asked myself what a person needs to hear most. The answer is simple. Keep going. Keep taking steps, because one day the world will start to make sense. You'll look around and be thankful for one thing, that when most people would have stopped, you didn't. When the world said no, you said yes. There is nothing so powerful as a soul that refuses to back down. Persistence isn't just important, it's everything. So live to see what you will gain, not what you can lose. Find that light in the darkness, even if it's just a spark. Every loss makes you a little tougher. Every moment of sadness uncovers something beautiful. Every moment of fear teaches you to be a little braver, and every broken heart opens the door to a new connection. Instead of doubting yourself in life's darkest moments, know that you need what you are going through. You are uncovering the little victories hidden in plain sight. So when the world feels like too much and your patience is thin, be stronger than that voice in your head begging you to think small. Stand on every experience, the good and the bad, and let it elevate you to a beautiful tomorrow. The walls have stories to tell. If these walls could talk, they would remind you of the things you sometimes forget. They would tell you about the brilliance that exists just outside your frame of view. They would suggest you look over your shoulder and take a peek at how far you've come. Because, my friend, you've come a long, long way. It's funny how slow progress moves. It's interesting how our lowest moments force us outside of ourselves, pushing us to step into the shoes we didn't know were sitting in the closet, waiting for the day we'd take on a new role. If these walls could talk, they would fill you in on a very important statistic. Your success rate through every struggle and hardship you've ever faced comes in at 100%. You are literally undefeated in your ability to move through adversity. And every time you did, whether you knew it or not, you walked into that closet and put on a new pair of shoes. You became something new. Sometimes progress is so slow that it feels like pain and looks like stagnation. But it is anything but. And if these walls could talk, they would beg you to see what you've become, who you are. If these walls could talk, they would remind you of life's ever-changing, transformative nature. They would tell you about all the times they witnessed you upset about people and things coming and going as you tried to hold on to what perhaps no longer served you. You wished you could make permanent the things that were only meant to be shooting stars across the sky of your life. But something doesn't have to be forever to be meaningful, and thank goodness, because nothing is. As we make our way into that vast unknown, we have a choice. We can live in the shadow of a particular moment, or we can cherish the value it offered. Those moments gave you just enough to take a new step forward, and sometimes that step is the difference between nothing and everything. So if these walls could talk, they would tell you to keep your head up and be thankful for those shooting stars in your life. They made you who you are, and the path forward would be impossible without them. You are already enough if these walls could talk. They would ask you about all the times you sat in your room and wondered if you were enough. They'd call attention to that non-stop battle with imposter syndrome and ask when you'll feel like you've learned enough to gain some semblance of authority in your own life. They'd wonder when you'll give yourself permission to be that person. You've come so far and endured so much. You're not the same person you were a year ago. If you could just stretch a little further, if you could just extend a little higher, if you could see all the new shoes you've worn and the shooting stars you've collected along the way, you would know that you are designed to overcome external pressures, obligations, and criticism. None of it matters. This is a battle between you and yourself. And if these walls could talk, they would ask you when you'll finally see what they see, the brilliance, the magnitude of your potential. When will you be you? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Remember how long you've been putting this off, how many extensions the gods gave you and you didn't use them. There is a limit to the time assigned to you, and if you don't use it to free yourself, it will be gone and never return. Today is precious because it's the only one you get. Each second is a unique opportunity, a single tick of the watch. If these walls could talk, they'd tell you that they've seen people come and go and every one of them wished they'd found the courage a little sooner. Reinvent and recreate. What's most incredible is that you get there, not by becoming something you're not yet, but by noticing who you already are. Instead of shining a light on one mistake or one reason to shrink, how about shining a light on the 99 reasons to expand? When it hurts, know that you've hurt worse and you've persevered. When you experience loss, know that it's not about what's gone, but about what you now have and will keep forever. And most importantly, know that you can always step into a new pair of shoes. You can always reinvent and recreate. You are never defined by something that happened in the past. The wake of a boat does not drive the boat. With this in mind, chart your course to new horizons. The map you need has nothing to do with external factors, but rather with the solutions that already exist within you. Take a second and look back over your shoulder. Remember that younger version of you, standing at the bank of a river, hoping and praying for help to get across. Now, as you stand here today, you know you have traversed oceans. The context of your struggles will always change, but your ability to endure only multiplies. You have everything you need, because you couldn't have gotten to this point without accumulating the knowledge and expertise to take one step forward. Miracles are merely the culmination of those courageous steps. I know that when we're at a new coastline looking out at foreign horizons, the answers can seem bigger than we are. The mind can wander to potential disasters and worst-case scenarios. But if these walls could talk, they would remind you that you've come this far not by leaping mountains or jumping oceans, but because when you were at your worst, you found the strength to carry on. This is the exponential compounding of what has made you great and what will continue to make you great. If these walls could talk, they would show you how the difficulties of years past have become common, solvable stepping stones that no longer even warrant your attention. By moving forward, you have faced your obstacles, taken their value, and made them obsolete. If these walls could talk, they'd remind you that you are not only ready, but you are made for everything that awaits. Living a life with no regrets. Imagine years from now, sitting on your front porch, staring out and thinking about your life. What would you be thinking? What would you change? Would there be regrets? Bronnie Ware, in her book on the regrets of the dying, highlights one of the most common, "I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself." You're looking out and imagining what it would have been like if you had acted differently, if you had tried and started. You go back to that moment when you were looking at fate in the eye and had to make a single decision: vulnerability or safety. This decision shows up repeatedly, but it's always the same choice. Safety is that innate desire to not disrupt the way things are, even when you know in your core there's more out there. Safety is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Watching life happen through a window is incredibly safe, but it means you're forfeiting the essence of life in exchange for a front row seat to watch others live it. You don't capture the adrenaline that drives us. You don't take part in the emotion that excites us. You don't meet the people who would change your life, and you don't see the places that would transform your understanding of reality. Equating safety with contentment is an outdated way of thinking. It's a relic of a time when life was a constant battle for survival. Now, in modern society, safety's greatest consequence is regret. The first step in changing something is to become aware of your current circumstances. Realize that you're not wrong or guilty for thinking small. That's our default setting as humans. But it is your fault if, once you've recognized it, you don't do anything to change it. It's your fault if you don't pick up the pieces and create a different narrative. The most important changes we can make are simple. They're not easy, but they are simple. That road to something new always starts with seeing beyond the confines of the world you've accepted for yourself. Fear is not the enemy. If you can remember one thing and one thing only, it's this: fear is not the enemy. It is the ally you need most. Inaction is the enemy. Doubt is the enemy. As Seneca says, we suffer more often in imagination than reality. Mark Twain advises, do the thing you fear most, and death of fear is certain. It's like jumping into a pool on a hot day. You get a second or two of discomfort before you acclimate to something better. People are stronger than they think they are adaptable, they are resilient. But to see this, we must move beyond the stories we tell ourselves. Back to that rocking chair. You're looking back at the fork in the road, and maybe you chose the challenging path. Maybe you fell flat on your face, but you got up a little smarter, a little better equipped, and you kept going. Maybe you failed again and again and the criticism came, but you realized it didn't kill you. You picked yourself up and carried on. Along the way, you expanded your skills and picked up some allies. You kept tripping, but eventually you looked back and saw something new. Distance. You realized you were not the same person you once were. You had redefined your existence. You had redefined what was possible. And it dawned on you that falling, that fear, that the unknown was not the problem. It wasn't scary. It was just part of being better. It was the cost of greatness. You've been looking at things wrong. You've been hiding from the very thing you should have been running towards. You've allowed things into your life that held you down, making you believe that comfort was the goal when it was really just shackling your feet to the ground. It advised you that spectating was a good thing. But that's not you. When you sit in that rocking chair and look out at the life you've made, let it be one of adventure. Think of the failures that made you stronger, the wandering that unveiled life's beauty, and the ends that became new beginnings, because that is the essence of a life truly lived, the courage to start. John Bingham said, "The miracle isn't that I finished, the miracle is that I had the courage to start." We all share a common beginning. the runner on the starting blocks, the person at their desk, the one studying. We are all at the bottom of a mountain looking up at an idea, and ideas when we're at the bottom are deceptive. They present themselves as much bigger than they actually are. To turn an idea into something real, you have to see yourself not as some mythical hero tasked with lifting a 2,000-ton boulder, but as a person with the understanding that the boulder can be broken down piece by piece. While it may stop most people in their tracks, you are simply not most people. You are not most people because you see the world differently. By knowing you are bigger than the sum of its parts, you have defanged the wolf. You have put yourself in a position to do the very thing that makes the world tremble and causes even the most confident to doubt. You have put yourself in a position to begin. Less thinking, more doing. There is a time to look at the powerful, majestic mountain peak, and there is a time to look at your feet, and right now is the latter. Your job is to move forward into the unknown. To not just see, but to adapt. To not know, but to trust. Your battle is with the space immediately in front of you. It's with the thoughts attempting to deceive you. But forward motion is the antidote to all of that. So forward you must go. The beginning is always the hardest part, because our thoughts are a mightier foe than life's obstacles. Thoughts take on lives of their own. They become monsters, demons, and dead ends. Obstacles, on the other hand, just ask that we adjust. So while the temptation is to sit and speculate about how challenging the road ahead will be, this is where you must think less and move more. Harness the world as it comes, because the truth is nothing is as big as it appears. Life is incredibly solvable. Every problem has a solution. Every bad chapter ends. Every setback is a chance to be more than you've ever been. But how would you know that if you bowed down to the mountains in your head? How would you know if you never began? So let today be the dotted line you sign with your future self, a promise to be aware of the mountain, but not to be distracted by its shadow. Take the climb one rock, one step, 1 second at a time. Let it be an acknowledgement that nothing life throws at you can't be broken down and conquered, so long as you don't get in your own way. Gone are the days of being held captive by the steel, bars of self-doubt and fear. The road ahead is not the problem, it never was. The problem was refusing to give yourself permission to travel down it. So without constraints, meet life head-on. Let the trials and tribulations emerge, because they will, but know that you will rise to meet them. Let the unknown highlight all you don't know, but find strength in the one thing you are sure of. You will, one by one, transform the unseen into strength. And when those thoughts emerge telling you that you've gone too far, that you're in over your head, that this isn't meant for you, know them not as truth, but as the only obstacle that can derail and distract you. You don't have time for make-believe, monsters. Onward you go to map the unknown, to tame the untamed, to live your life the way it was meant to be lived. Simple, not easy. What's the difference between simple and easy? Simple is straightforward and uncomplicated. Easy means it can be achieved without great effort. The difference between these two words is subtle but essential. One deals with the complexity of an outcome, the other your will and determination to achieve it. Becoming who you most want to be is simple, but becoming who you most want to be is not easy. Just like walking is simple, yet hiking up a mountain is not easy. The procedure didn't change, the context did. Let's talk about the cyclical nature of growth. It's not that most people can't, it's that most people won't. It's not that most people don't know how. It's that they don't have a strong enough why. The path is laid out before you. You just have to be willing to walk down it. Will you? Step 1. Realize there's more out there. It's not that what you're doing now isn't amazing. It's just that yesterday's act of courage is now today's status quo. What was spectacular is now mundane. What was once the ceiling you had to jump to touch is now the floor you walk on. So at the very least, it prompts you to ask, what's next? Simple, but not easy. Step 2. The acquisition of courage. Yesterday's courage was a fight. It got you here, but it also dropped you at the curb and went on its way. You can stay here. A lot of people do. You can reminisce about the glory days and old triumphs, or you can do that perpetually uncomfortable exercise of vulnerability, stepping into tomorrow's unknown. Remind yourself that life's greatest rewards have a hefty price tag, and that price is discomfort. You might think you've already played this game. No, what you did was learn the rules. Now it's time to apply them to a new setting. The process may seem like a replication, but you can't see the vertical ascent you're making just by holding on and believing in yourself enough to begin again. You are fanning the flames of courage in your soul, waiting to be spread like a wildfire. Simple, but not easy. Step 3, mistakes are the path to greatness. You don't fear mistakes themselves. You fear what you think they'll mean: ridicule, embarrassment, a lack of direction, or losing what you have. But here's the catch. When you realize the upside is greater than the downside, you liberate yourself. When you realize there's more to gain than to lose, your potential for greatness is born. How does one act on this? By making mistakes, by injecting yourself into the turbulence of progress. Our biology hasn't learned yet that the uncomfortable thing is often the right thing. And that's why you feel resistance and why it hurts. This is also why so few people will accomplish what you will. When it comes to your climb, every day is opposite day. When others run out, you're running in. When they play it safe, you play for the victory. To become who you might be, you must learn how to get there, and mistakes are your curriculum. Simple, but not easy. Step 4. Trust yourself. Trusting yourself is easy when you're getting what you want, but growth takes time. There's nothing quite like giving and giving and giving and not getting. Nothing quite like stepping up to the plate again and again and bringing no runners home. So how do you find the strength to keep walking up to the batter's box? Growth is exponential. Those swings and misses matter. The infield singles matter. Everything matters because it's all chiseling your future self out of stone. Success is less about the home run and more about the discipline and self-belief to keep walking up to the plate. Repetition and adjustment. Repetition and adjustment. Repeat and refine. Repeat and refine. These are the materials from which all things are made, simple but not easy. Step 5. Celebrate and adjust at some point. You'll be able to look over your shoulder and notice something you hadn't before. Space. Space between where you are and where you started. It's not sudden, it's gradual, and with enough persistence, it will emerge. These moments are precious. They are life's way of reminding you what you're building and who you're becoming. Celebrate every little win, and then transform it, normalize it. Recognize that what was once a mountaintop is now your foundation. Your starting point has changed, and so have you. With an increase in ability comes an upgrade to what's possible and what's expected. And look at that. We have arrived at a new step 1, realizing there is more. This is the process for capturing what life has to offer. If you can fall in love with it, appreciate it and respect it while simultaneously understanding that it's not scary, that it's dependent entirely on your ability to push forward, there is nothing you can't do and nowhere you can't go. Simple. Yes, easy, no, but you're not in this for easy. You're in it for the journey, the growth, the adventure. You're in it because it's not easy. You'll see in time, as will the world, that this decision to endure was simply the best one you ever made. There's a saying that what you water is what grows. Where you place your attention ends up guiding your feelings, your perceptions, and your life. Your focus becomes your identity. Change comes from bringing awareness to what you're focusing on. The light bulb went off for me during a trying time, when I wasn't where I wanted to be. I asked myself, am I on my own team here? Am I helping myself? To use the metaphor, am I watering the weeds in my life or the flowers? Am I allocating energy to thoughts that are detrimental to what I want? Am I keeping myself in places and relationships that are counterproductive? Am I thinking about what can go wrong instead of all that can go right? Or am I watering the flowers, highlighting possibility, appreciating what I have, and nurturing the potential for growth? I've always known the value of choosing to see the positive, but the million-dollar question is, how do you remain aware? Weeds are sneaky. They'll take control of your life without you even knowing it. It dawned on me that this isn't complex. It's simple. From point A to point B, the process is twofold. First, identify where you want to be. Second, analyze your actions based on those priorities. That's it. For every pillar of my life, health, relationships, career, finances, I made 2 dots. One for where I am, point A, and one for where I want to be, point B. Everything in between is the path. It's simple. You start at point A knowing you can always get to point B. What you want exists. It's there and it's available. Your attention and all of your energy should be allocated to the thoughts that reinforce that truth. That's your path. That's what you believe. That's what's important. And it's going to happen. Anything that exists outside that line, anything that tells you you're not good enough or suggests it won't work out, that's where the weeds live. That's wasted space. Why exhaust that energy? To think, I'm not good enough to get this promotion doesn't help you get to point B. Eliminate that thought. You are good enough. You just need improvement. Maybe it's enhanced skills, more effort, or a changed approach, but tackling these things will water the flowers. It moves you along the path, and progress is happiness. For me, health is a big thing. I run all the time, but I'd like to be more fit. I know it's possible because that's my point B. I know that saying I don't have time, or I don't have the right body type, or fast food just this once will be okay, is watering weeds. It exists outside my path. My time should be spent realizing how incredible the human body is, taking care of it and being proud of it. That's my one body, even if it's just a little at a time. That's the beauty. Simply existing on a path and revolving around your ideals, your vision, and your priorities brings about joy. Negativity is truly a learned thing. It's manufactured. All there are in life are circumstances, pieces of a puzzle that are neither positive nor negative. You decide what to do with them. You can focus on the negative, but that won't help you change your situation or bring about happiness. When you choose to see the opportunity, you free yourself from the shackles of fate. You put yourself in the situation you're in, but you can also take yourself out of it. A field of sunflowers grew one root, one stem, and one petal at a time. The same field that was once nothing more than dirt and weeds was always capable of becoming something beautiful. Your ideal life is just as possible. You simply need to water the things that matter. The privilege of discomfort. This morning, during a heated workout class, the instructor said something incredible that moved me. She said, "The discomfort you feel right now is a privilege. It's a privilege to be here working on yourself when most people are at home. It's a privilege to be in a position to move through the resistance you feel." After hearing that, how could I see a few minutes of fatigue as anything other than the small price of improvement? It's funny how the same things we consider to be torture, when they're required of us, become empowering when we choose them deliberately. I've always known the value of managing pain. You have to immerse yourself in less than ideal moments to bring about greater results. But I don't recall the last time I was overtly thankful for the obstacles in my way. I don't remember seeing my struggle not as a necessary burden, but as a gift presented to me. Think for a second about the finitude of life. The odds of being born, a number I've heard is 1 in 400 trillion, are incredibly slim. Yet somehow we won. We all received a winning lottery ticket. Here we are on a strange planet, with options to choose from, paths to decide between, and a giant ticking clock. Given these circumstances, aren't we doing ourselves a disservice by not at least seeing what we are capable of? What is the cost of that evolution? It's discomfort. It's forging your future by walking through fire. It's intentional hardship. And to not see that as the gateway to life's infinite opportunity is missing the point. Why shouldn't you feel lucky about transforming yourself in real time? Why shouldn't you feel proud of paying a steeper price for a better view? Why shouldn't you be delighted to unpack the mystery and adventure contained in life? This isn't something you have to do on your way to point B. It's something you get to do on your journey to become who you choose to become. So when life's pressures test us, maybe solely acknowledging their utility is insufficient. Maybe it's more. Maybe it's something that should be celebrated, adored. Today was a reminder to be thankful for the body that can endure the turbulence, the mind that can manage and overcome the chaos, and the opportunity to be here to begin with. Thank you for the freedom to choose the difficult thing. Thank you for the privilege to live in such a way that as I place my head on the pillow each and every night, I am grateful. The sugar cookie part of my morning routine is listening to Admiral McRaven's commencement speech at the University of Texas, where he shares 10 lessons he learned as a Navy SEAL. One of my favorites is the lesson of the sugar cookie. It's a perfect metaphor for life. During SEAL training, trainees would line up for uniform inspection. Their uniforms had to be perfect, but the instructors would always find something wrong. The punishment was to get soaking wet in the ocean and then roll around in the sand. It stuck to them all day, earning them the nickname Sugar Cookie. McRaven explains that the trainees were never going to succeed. A perfect uniform was impossible because the instructors wouldn't allow it. What's interesting is that some people couldn't handle that idea. They didn't understand that no matter how well you prepare or perform, sometimes you're going to end up a sugar cookie. That is life. This is a powerful concept that must be understood before you can effectively make your way in the world. The idea that life simply isn't fair. Those who refuse to accept this get pulled into a void of blaming others instead of continuing to march forward and reshaping the odds. It's tough to work and not get the immediate validation you hope for. It's tough when life throws obstacles at us that we don't feel equipped to handle. It's tough when people around you get rewarded for doing the same or less than you. And if you let it, it will eat you up. It will taint your view of the world and close the door to your own self-improvement. It really hit home when McRaven said that some people just couldn't understand that no matter what they did, they were going to be a sugar cookie. They couldn't rise above the apparent unfairness. They didn't realize they were being prepared for the reality of life, not the gentle, predictable, fair world we often feel is owed to us. The ones who made it took their hits, dealt with their discomfort and learned to expect more of themselves. There simply was no room for a victim mentality. Those who wouldn't help themselves got weeded out and left behind. This is the perfect metaphor for life. The only way to ensure defeat is to divert responsibility to the outside world. The only way to remain powerless is to feel angry that life isn't what it is in the movies. It's a hard truth. In a perfect world, hard work is always rewarded, and the right actions always have positive consequences. But that's not always reality. As the saying goes, it's not your fault where you start, or when things you can't control make your life challenging. You didn't choose that hand. Not your fault. But where you go from here is your responsibility. It is your responsibility to move beyond the cosmic injustice and create a better situation, a better outcome, and a better world. How many times have we looked in the mirror and asked, I did everything I was supposed to. Why is this happening to me? On paper, every box was checked. We've all asked that question, and every time we do, we're at a crossroads. Do we let it derail us and distort our worldview, or do we acknowledge that life is a marriage of highs and lows? To make something of it, we shouldn't feel slighted by the challenges, but accept them and let them make us better. I've learned this again and again, especially after a project I spent 4 months on in 2014 essentially bombed. At the time, I couldn't understand it. How could I put everything into this and get nothing back? It turns out I got the world back. I just didn't see it at the time. I learned one of the most powerful lessons of all. The universe is indifferent to your agenda. All it does is present an obstacle course in front of you and allows you to navigate as you see fit. Will you focus on the negative? Will you feel resentment toward life's injustices? A lot of people do, and they hide from the very struggle that would ultimately become their strength. A shift from reaction to action. I'd much rather work to be the type of person who finds the positive, who carries on, and who doesn't take hardship personally, because it's not a personal thing. In fact, let's remove the emotion from it. Let's focus on getting through. As a good friend of mine says, if you get bitten by a snake on a hiking trail, are you going to chase the snake for vengeance? Or are you going to go to the hospital and get the help you need? Every time you accept responsibility for a situation, every time you look at yourself as the one who can make something good happen, you move forward. You stack the odds in your favor. You position yourself for something bigger and better. This doesn't mean it will happen overnight, or that you're entitled to an outcome, but those who remain empowered through life's trials and tribulations usually find a way. Not because they deserved it, but because they simply did not stop. They did not waste time blaming the universe. Instead, they created something of value. They got over being that metaphorical sugar cookie and started thinking about the big picture. They accepted the defeats and learned. They made a pact with the face looking back at them in the mirror. Sometimes we don't get the ideal hand, but it will always be up to you how to play it. There is always a win, always a positive. And to remember that is to create a world of your own making. In a way, our eyes are liars, not in what they portray, but in the implication of their portrayals. Our eyes give us a snapshot of the current moment. What took me years to understand is that possibility and hope live far beyond what surrounds us right now. It's that pursuit of the unseen that saved my life. I believe we are all architects. Here's what I found to be true. Two things can exist at once. First, we'll only ever have the present. As Eckhart Tolle explains, a healthy life is learning to cherish the now. But second, there's the power of being able to point the now at something far beyond what our eyes convey. It's the magic of knowing that we spend our days navigating a world of self-imposed limitation and restraint. We don't wake up thinking, I'm going to hold myself back today. Instead, we operate on autopilot. We observe the slideshow our eyes play for us, and we exist within those parameters. It seems perfectly reasonable. Our eyes show us a wall, and our brain says, this is where we stop. The end. But I want to highlight the world just beyond that wall, a world where we push a little, where we ask, what if I gave a little more? Why can't I be like the people I look up to? Why have I accepted these circumstances that make me unhappy? Just because it's the image your eyes show you right now doesn't mean it's where you have to stop. But we have to learn to look for more. There's always more to explore. When I was young, I had a Star Wars game demo on my computer. I played it, and after a while I thought I had explored all there was to explore. I assumed I had maxed out the demo because it wouldn't let me do much more. Then one day a friend came over. He noticed a little button that opened a door I hadn't seen before. Come to find out, there was a lot more of the game left to explore. It led to a tunnel, which led somewhere else and somewhere else. I felt like a clown for wandering in circles, but at the same time, I was excited about this new world I had just discovered. There's a magic to the secret door, the bookcase that can be moved to unveil a passageway to something greater, a value invisible to the untrained eye. We must understand how many of these doors exist in our lives. If we choose to recognize and identify something more, something that excites us and invigorates us, we can usually draw a line to it and start heading that way. Because within the current moment, we see all around us exist the little passageways, the side streets, the tunnels connecting to something more. Those gates won't open, of course, if you haven't constructed a destination in your mind worth traveling to. This isn't because you're insufficient, but because our default is to live life on demo mode. We have to manufacture more, build a higher platform, and then climb up to it using the ropes and ladders we walk by every day without thinking twice. Our world, our right now, is a toolbox waiting for us to construct a more meaningful, peaceful, and happy tomorrow. So, where are the hidden opportunities in your life? Where can you find the advantages dressed up as the mundane? Is it in a book or a conversation? Is it applying to that thing you've been hesitant to pursue out of fear of what might await? Is it understanding the power of 10 minutes a day and how starting small opens doors you can't even comprehend? Is it a little boldness? Is it looking in the mirror and realizing you're still shackling yourself to who you were yesterday? Is it an hour in the morning to think? An hour at night to breathe? Is it changing a self-limiting relationship with time, money, or resources? What walls can you knock down to open up a world meant for you, a world that's malleable and without limitation? Your eyes don't tell the story of how things can be. They show you the infinite tools at your disposal to build, create, and design. They remind you to never accept a now that wasn't chosen with intentionality. They show you that where there is pain, there is also a door to lessen and transform it. Your journey never ends where you are. It ends where you choose to stop, where you plant a stake in the ground and accept the world around you. So let me remind you how powerful you are. Let me reiterate what you are capable of, and that your reality might require some customization. Perhaps it takes the courage to step outside the routine and build something beautiful. meaningful and incredible to stand on. The moment you understand you are walking by the very solutions you need, you realize that remaining in a state of discontent is simply an indifference to the resources around you. Remember this: what you see with your eyes isn't an end state. It's a path to the next chapter, a chisel you can use to evolve little by little. As someone recently reminded me, Mark Twain said, "Logic will get you from point A to point B. Imagination will take you everywhere." Why? Because so much exists beyond the parameters of everyday life. It's about mapping new paths with new points and new rules. Some people exist, others truly live. Some comply, others create. Some see what is around them, while others ask, "What can I build with what is around me?" So build towers that touch the sky and bridges that connect the earth. Build like this is a game, and the only way to lose is to stop yourself from experiencing all it has to offer. Build like there's a world far beyond your front door, because if you do, that's exactly where you'll find yourself.